Chris, that's a really great lead into what was going to be my final question, really, where I wanted to explore the benefits of this new way of hybrid working on how we manage our relationships. So maybe if there's anything you particularly wanted to reinforce there, excuse me, around any short-term benefits that you're seeing now in your relationship management, and also thinking ahead maybe to the next 2 to 3 years and beyond. What long-term benefits do you think hybrid working is going to have for your teams and your business as they engage with customers and partners? Chris, just maybe build out a little more on your last response. Any last couple of advantages that you'd like to share with us, please?
Sure. Yeah. I think that key thing that I've kind of already referenced is broadening the engagement. And as I say, that's whether that's across the panel of brokers that we already deal with, or people within an office who we wouldn't perhaps get to see in that face-to-face. So the breadth and that sharing of the insight, they're undeniably sort of short-term benefits. The reduction in travel time, I think, has helped people from a well-being perspective as well. Again, COP26 was everywhere in the news recently, and therefore a reduction in travel likely to have a benefit on our carbon footprint as well. The time management aspect to in the short term has been perhaps we've all needed to get better at our time management. Planning and preparing is easier to say than to do. So there was that's perhaps already taken us into the kind of some of the that's taken us back into some of the challenges. But I think in terms of those short-term benefits, we were able to go wider in a shorter space of time and go deeper in a shorter space of time as well. I think in the longer term, can we keep up at that pace? Can any of us keep up at that pace? And that's where that well-being piece perhaps comes back in. We've certainly been as productive, if not more productive, in a hybrid environment than we were in a face-to-face environment. And I think we, as the UK and Boris, I suppose it just feels like we need to be careful not to assume that the end game is we all return back to offices. It just doesn't feel like that's ever going to be the case. So on a full-time basis, at least. So that kind of hybrid working will continue to be the issue. So we need to be mindful and thoughtful about how we check on people's well-being, and that intensity that I've talked about, that productivity benefit that I've talked about, how we kind of don't lose that, but also make sure that we don't kind of create a burnout, I suppose, for our people. So I think from a long-term point of view, those are things to look out for. But I also think in long-term, collaboration didn't stop just because we weren't in offices. I think sometimes people say we've got to go back to offices because we missed out on collaboration. Well, we couldn't have survived as long as we did if that was true. So, yes, let's go back into offices for specific reasons. Let's go back and work together and learn from colleagues and share experiences and insight together. But let's not assume that collaboration is only a physical event. I think collaboration is more of a mindset than it is, it's more about mindset than it is about location. And a mindset, I suppose, is the main thing in this lockdown. We've all worked out that we can work from home. Stopping was more of an issue than starting in terms of working from home, and the cliches about shirking from home, hopefully are now, put in the dustbin. So manage the person, I think, is a long-term learning. Manage the person, manage the team, manage their workload from wherever they sit, rather than based on where they sit. And that's exactly the same with managing customer relationships. Ask them what they want. Do they want face-to-face engagement, or are they happy with hybrid? And what is it that they're trying to achieve for their customers? Kate, how does this apply to your industry?
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I completely agree with the piece about the difference between the social and the virtual world, and it can make it more difficult to have a work-life balance, as it can be quite difficult to turn off. In fact, I had to delete Teams from my phone. so I couldn't be contacted when I actually needed to concentrate, because apart from the teaching and the employer engagement and the customer contact, we also have to do research, and I need to be stuck in a dark and quiet room, and if your phone's binging every second, you can't actually get into that mindset. Short-term benefits, definitely, that you can get more done in a day because you're not having to spend that time traveling, sitting in traffic jams, but it can have the opposite effect, as people are expected to be on call and available 24/7. So again, as I said before, it's setting those boundaries and expectations. Longer term, it means that more meetings can take place with multiple people in multiple locations. So I've managed to broaden my reach to projects and employers in, globally now, and having guest speakers beaming in from, the States or Australia. So it's opened up that, remove those boundaries. As I said before, the disadvantage was that I had 40 meetings set in one week, and as I said, I was fed up seeing my face by the end of the week and had Teams burnout. So it can be difficult keeping up with the increase in productivity now when the social aspect and traveling time returns. So if I'm spending an hour and a half traveling into the office, and a lot of people will be there just to socialize, so it's trying to change the mindset and make people focus again. For engagement with external clients, as I said, it's opened up opportunities with people higher up in organizations because they don't have to block hours out of their day or have traveling time in. So I can take 10 minutes out of a CEO's day to offer a free service, and all they need to do is just block a 10-minute slot for me to hear, and 9 times out of 10 I'll get a yes, fantastic, love it, what can we do, how can we work together. It's really resulting in a large increase in external client engagement with the university, which is great for, as Alan mentioned at the start, our graduate outcomes and graduate roles. That's really mainly it for me. But Justin, I'd like to hear what you'd say from your industry side.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. I can't remember who I should credit, so I feel bad for stealing somebody else's words, but we heard something a while back, which is, work is something that we do, not somewhere that we go. And I think that's so true now in where we are. Habits take about 3 months to learn, and we've been doing this for nearly 2 years. So let's consider working from home and hybrid as a really learned habit. Now let's refine it. Let's get as much out of it as we can. My talent teams that I work with are telling me that the application pool or the applicant pool that we're seeing, because we're no longer saying must be based in London or must be based in San Francisco, we're seeing people applying for roles with incredible talent, incredible ability, who are already used to working from home. So we're learning from them. I remember recently, I've only just started returning to our London offices, probably 3 times a month at the moment. The previous visits were all back to back, bouncing around from one meeting room to another. There was really no time to spend with anybody. The last big meeting that we had, where we had international guests join us, we came out with a wristband idea. So red, amber and green. You put a red band on if you didn't want to get close to people. You were there, but you weren't very comfortable with social. Amber, I'm here, I'm happy to be here, but I don't want to touch. And green, well, I was a green and I turned out to be a hugger. The funny thing was we had to send out for more green wristbands twice over the first day because people just kept on taking them. And that shows the bit that I think Chris and Kate have talked about, that we've missed this social interaction. We are social animals. So I think, the benefits, definitely, we can be far more flexible, far more productive as long as we manage the time. We get access to a much more diverse employee applicant pool, and diverse across all areas, genders, etc. But we need to make sure we're taking time to check in on each other. I've said to my team, I need cheerleaders on the team. I need people that kind of rah people up and keep people motivated and happy while they're working from home. So yeah, for me, lots of positive. The negatives, I think, because as I say, habits take 3 months to learn, and we're well into that habit now. We just need to learn the discipline about how we stop and pause and how we manage those interactions. And sorry, to Kate's point, and I'll shut up then, looking at other people's calendars, but don't look at their calendars for your gap. Look at their calendars for their day. The amount of times you've got that 30 minutes between 4 meetings and another 3 meetings, and someone goes, Justin's got 30 minutes, I'll drop my meeting in there. Well, thanks a million. That was the time I was going to go grab a coffee, maybe have a comfort break. So I think, just be respectful of other people's calendars, look at what their day looks like. And sometimes, it could be done on Wednesday. It doesn't have to be done on Tuesday. Find a bit of a gap that works for everybody.
Yeah, thanks all of you. I think that's been a really fascinating discussion. I think it's given us a lot of food for thought. It's been really interesting hearing some views on the challenges and the subsequent changes that have had to be made when considering how we build and maintain relationships. So I enjoyed hearing about the benefits and the opportunities that this has opened up. For example, Chris mentioned the ability to engage and build deeper relationships with far more brokers than they were able to do when those relationships were typically conducted face-to-face. I was really taken by the point that Justin made around outcome-based discussions that provided maybe more focus and more structure to our online relationship meetings. And that came out from Kate and Chris as well. And in the world of academia, Kate mentioned that the hybrid world has opened up opportunities for a far greater number of relationships between industry leaders and the university due to the efficiency that the virtual meetings can provide, which in turn can only provide greater benefits for students and subsequently their future employers. I think from our perspective, we've seen a lot of proactivity in the market, with clients looking to upskill their teams to enable them to better manage relationships and effectively sell their message in both virtual and hybrid environments, because there is recognition that we need to adapt as organizations and help our teams to adapt. So thank you all very, very much. So thanks, Kate, thanks, Justin, thanks, Chris, and thank you to all of you who've stayed on as well. Appreciate you staying on, and hopefully we'll see you at our next event in the new year. Thank you.